So, I think we have policies, but we don't have funding. And so the policies will say, yes, here you have to have a behavioral intervention team, but there's not necessarily a push to make sure that there's somebody hired specifically just for that work. The same with Title IX, right? Our Title IX coordinator is our director of HR, who's extremely busy, and now they are hiring, the dean. So Tamara was then the coordinator of Title IX, or the deputy coordinator, and now our new person will be the coordinator of Title IX. But they're all very busy people, right? Mm-hmm. So we're holding it from policy standpoint. We have it, but we don't necessarily fund it. Mm-hmm. And so then individuals like myself, or that have multiple kind of responsibilities, are doing things that kind of conflict, maybe, mm-hmm. or they shouldn't necessarily be the same person. I mean, I'm able to do it, and I think I do it pretty well. But I think even for me, sometimes it's a challenge. Is it, am I in my care role? Am I in my conduct role? Or am I kind of blending the two, right? Mm-hmm. Which I probably blend, a lot.
Yeah. You said that so well. I'm going to use a direct quote, I'm sure. When you said, we have policies, but we don't have funding.
Yeah.
And that's a very succinct way of summarizing that, because it's true. I think during the time that you and I worked together in the system, we kept getting new things. It was new. Mm-hmm. Do you also, for example, do the grievances? Do you do the grievance process?
I have not really done the grievances. We don't have a lot of grievances. So we have what we call it as a student complaint. So we, mm-hmm. We have a student complaint process, and then it's kind of geared towards the VPs, but then the VPs have usually will do directors or chairs or deans to deal with those. I generally don't deal with those.
Okay. But you're right about the lack of funding, and this is how I heard you say it. You can tell me if I am misinterpreting. Okay. But that the lack of funding around these policies and procedures somewhat forces us into situations where conflict exists.
Absolutely. And it's true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have been doing a better job. I think Tamara has and Cindy, or Tamara probably has encouraged Cindy, who's our director of HR, to really, that I'm not to be the one really doing Title IX stuff in the sense of investigating, specifically because of my role with care and conduct. But I still continue, if it's just a student that has reported somehow to someone that they were a victim of sexual assault, stalking, domestic violence, or something, that I'm the one that does generally the initial contact for the student to say, hey, I want to let you know we have, support services, here's some resources, let me know if you need anything, and I send off all the stuff, right, and then close the case, because generally it's not having to go through a full investigation. But I'm the one that's doing that, right? And then the new thing that they're going to probably, and I'm not sure, we'll see. We have a big conference on Friday up at Colorado Springs for CCCS, and they were talking about early alerts in our new program, Navigate. And there has been discussions from Tamara to me and from other people that the thought is that they are going to assign, all of the early alerts are going to come to me. And that then I distribute to the appropriate person. And at this conference, they were talking about how early alerts should really go to the faculty members. I mean, faculty members should be contacting the students directly, right? Because it is coming from them. When you're saying, hey, your grade is failing or whatever, it shouldn't be someone else that then reaches out to the student. It should be the faculty member. So anyways, there's lots of conversation. But that would be another duty for me, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that I don't think I've told you is I'm also the veterans backup, the veterans services backup for certification of VA benefits.
Wow.
That just happened this spring. So I'm a VA certification person. So I'm just saying, because what happened is Tamara took on Veteran Services. It used to kind of fall under advising, and then somehow it got switched to Tamara. Now it will be the new dean. And of course, it is a lot, and it's an interesting process. And Tamara said, "Hey, this is good. You'll hear this." So she says, "Yeah, do you think you'd be willing to do it?" And back in 2007 or 8, when I was the director of student life, I was approached by my VP at the time because our veterans advisor had had a really bad accident and was going to be out for about 2.5, 3 months, and asked me if I'd be willing to learn it and take it on. I said, sure. And so I did, and I learned it, and I did it just for that time frame, and that was it. Well, now, so she said to me, are you willing to do it? She said, it will even come with some money. And I said, really? I said, oh, cool. I said, I would have done it anyways, but that's really cool. Later, she comes to me and she says, oh, and by the way, we can't give you any more money because you make too much money. I'm like, I've been here for 14 years. So
Wow.
you take $1,000 a year for 14 years, and you take what a base salary is for, somebody at my level, I'm not making too much money.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I had like 4 or 5 years of meritorious raises back in the day, right? So anyways, I thought it was interesting. But what she did tell me was that I could remove something from my job duties. And I said, okay. And so what I removed was compliance programming, right? Because when they switched me to this position, they still required me to do compliance programming, which is really a student activities process.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow.
Again, funding, right?
Exactly.
And which is really interesting because the focus is on retaining employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we already know that specifically our institution, our pay is pretty low compared to some of the other system schools in terms of the position.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, okay, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
So can you think of any other areas in which compartmentalization of any form that we've been talking about exists? Have we hit on all the areas?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, your question there, is there a cost? I think there is a cost. I think that, sometimes because we don't have individual people working in individual areas, like just a dean, just a conduct officer, or just a Title IX officer, or just, a case manager, that there could be cost to the students. It could be a cost to the staff person depending on how their ability to handle the multiple duties. But I think there could be sometimes a cost to the student that they're not getting maybe all of the best practices and expertise of somebody that's their only job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you think of any benefits to being one person with many hats?
Yeah, because I mean, depending on how you take on this role, I'm one person that can answer lots of questions, and a lot of it is more about my other individual experience that I feel is important in this role, to have knowledge about being able to understand certain banner screens with regards to financial aid, being able to tell a student, hey, yeah, I do see you're ineligible for aid, so you're going to have to fill out an appeal, being able to say, hey, you haven't even submitted your application or your financial aid application for 18-19, being able to look at holds and if there's any financial issues and talk about scholarships. For me, because I've had a variety of opportunities, not positions, but opportunities to learn in admissions and records and financial aid and other areas, for me, because of that, I think when I meet with a student, they get a lot of information, a lot of questions answered, or they don't even know some of the questions, and I'm able to provide that for them and ask them those questions. I think for some people, I think it would be difficult, right? I think that depending on, at my institution, I don't know that we don't have the level of conduct anymore that I think CCD or some of these other institutions have. And I don't know, they were talking from the system level, they provide